Welcome back to our news in brief now. The National Assembly Elections Petitions Tribunal sitting in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital today, affirmed the victory of the senator representing Ogun West Senatorial District, Senator Tolu Odebiyi. Now, Justice Wakil Alkali, delivering his judgment, affirmed that although the allegations of the second respondent, Mr. Leye Odunjo of the People's Democratic Party, were weighty, he failed to prove these allegations beyond reasonable doubt. The PDP candidate had approached the tribunal asking it to nullify the election held on the 21st of April over alleged irregularities and declare him duly elected as the senator representing the senatorial district of the state. Well, opposition figures say they are not impressed with some of the activities of the president's 100 days in office since the start of the second term. Speaking on our political program, Sunday Politics, Mr. Yabagi Sani, the national chairman of the Action Democratic Party and a spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party presidential campaign, Mr. Kasim Afegbua, say they expect better from the Buhari-led government.
I think I have not seen anything that will give one some confidence that we are getting it right yet. When you look at the welfare, that is the economy, look at the unemployment. You know, it has gone to 23 point something percent. That's unemployment. When you look at underemployment, it gets to about 40 point something percent of Nigerians are not fully engaged. So that tells you that poverty is growing, endemic. It was about 18 point something percent in 2018. And 2019, you have added 5% unemployment, you know, to the people that are not employed.
Well, the president's spokesperson, Mr. Femi Adesina, in response to the opposition members, says it was not all bleak, as he believed the mark of the government's activities are seen all over the country. Well, let's wade into the discussion now. We've been joined by the chairman, Buhari Media Organization, Mr. Niyi Akisiju, and a spokesperson of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, Mr. Sani Umar, on their assessment of the president's first 100 days in office. We'd like to thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the program. And perhaps my first question would go to Mr. Umar, Sani Umar. Is 100 days enough time to measure the deliverables of the second term of the president?
Well, I wouldn't say it is enough time, but I would also not say that it is not enough time. I would say it is enough time because he is coming from a 4-year tenure, and so it is a continuity. And since it is a continuity, we expect that he is not on trial for this second tenure, but for the first tenure. So in the second tenure, we're expecting him to do much more in the first 100 days than he did in the first tenure. Of course, the first tenure, it was a disaster because for 6 months, nothing was going on. This time around, there are ministers, you know, and I don't think the ministers have even held any Federal Executive Council meeting to warrant anybody to say, okay, you know, assignments have been given to them and that they have even started assessing them. So I think the first 100 days so far, I don't think anything has happened. And to me, it is very good enough for us to begin to count, to see what will happen in the future.
Mr. Akisiju, what's your response to this? He's saying nothing has happened in the 100 days in second time in office.
The truth of the matter is I find it rather impossible, you know, debating Mr. President's performance, you know, with elements of the PDP. The truth of the matter is, if we are going through any issue now, if the president is undertaking a re-engineering of our space, either politically, economically, or security-wise, it was the aberration, you know, caused and engineered by the PDP. I would have preferred, you know, debating with a neutral, or even if it's a stakeholder, but definitely not the PDP. Well, people would say that we are going to the past, and if we are going to the past, it's the PDP, you know, that symbolizes everything that is wrong in our past. So if a PDP person is saying that the government between 2015 and now had not done so much, I wonder what we need to compare with. I would rather want to be neutral, you know, want to engage someone who is neutral, who had not been part of the misalignment, you know, that we have
But
experienced.
Mr. Akinsuju, let's not look at the messenger. Let's rather look at the message. I mean, we have a couple of stats which you've been seeing on our screen. Some of the promises by the Buhari-led government, supporting the private sector, domestic production, I mean, ending poverty, investment in primary and secondary healthcare. I mean, these are the issues that pertain to over 200 million Nigerians. So, indeed, what has the government done, and especially in the first 100 days in office?
Thank you very much. They're coming directly from you, because I don't want to respond to any PDP elements. That is, we are talking about achievements. I would be forced to go back to that benchmark. But if you're talking about what the promises of the president, first, I want to align myself with the position of Mr. Femi Adesina, the special advisor to the president on media yesterday, that we cannot docket 100 days for a president that his tenure had been renewed, so it's a continuum. We can only be talking of what the president had been doing and a new momentum added to what had been done over the last 4 years. So if we're talking about our economy, for instance, we know that there is a new direction in our economy. And the theme underlining that is the domestication of our economy, we're moving away from being an import-dependent economy to a domestic-dependent, of course, to a capacity-increased economy. And we can see that with all manners of backward integration, that the private sector, the manufacturing sector, you know, it's been involved. It's a thing of pride now that we can restrict access to foreign exchange of some commodities or some items, you know, and that now we are able to produce, you know, those items. We can see how our purchasing managers index had increased consistently over the last 28 months. And it tells you that, yes, there are expanding activities in the manufacturing sector and even the non-manufacturing sector. But what is more important is that the manufacturing sectors are now moving, you know, away from importing raw materials.
Yes, Mr. Akinsuju, I must get in Mr. Omar in right now, you know, a member of the opposition. I mean, without the opposition, where would we be as a country? And Mr. Omar, that is to get your own points on really criticizing and assessing President Buhari's 100 days in office. What do you make of this? And this is summarily your closing thoughts on it. And what do you see happening in the coming months as well?
Well, let me start by saying that when a debate like this is going on national television, the issue of you bring in PDP or APC and try to say whether an APC man cannot discuss. The greatest opposition as it is now in Nigeria is the PDP. And so if the APC is going to talk about anything, they must talk about the PDP because the PDP cannot be wished away. Secondly, Nigerians are still in love with the PDP. Not because of anything, because the PDP grew the economy to the fastest growing economy in the world and one of in fact, the leading economy in Africa. So for anybody to try to compare the APC with the PDP, I think that is a misalignment. So putting it succinctly, let me say that it is a common knowledge that Nigerians have all agreed, we are all in agreement that the APC is a failure. The APC has not grew the economy. They have not they fight against corruption, which the 3 poles upon which their promises have stood. They have not grown the economy. They have not fought any corruption to any level. And then, of course, the insecurity in the country has multiplied. So where would you measure their performance? How would you even say that the APC has done anything? The APC has been a monumental failure. They have tried to use subterfuge to fight the PDP, to always play the blame game and say everything is PDP, everything is PDP.
We would like to thank you, Mr. Omar, but we would like Mr. Akinsuju to have the one word in before we go, and that is, what do you see happening with his response in perhaps a sentence, because we're out of time?
the truth is that you take me back into the morals of our past, and PDP belonged there. If he's talking about PDP increasing or growing our economy, yes, was 8%, GDP 8% plus, you know, in 2010. But the same PDP, and that was driven by oil economy, oil price and all that. But by 2015, you know, May, the same PDP had reduced our economy to less than 2.5%
All right.
GDP.
I wish we had time, but I'd really like to thank you, gentlemen. Nearly not enough time to talk about 100 days in office and indeed all the deliverables of this government. It's an issue we'll keep talking about here on Channels Television, and you can join the conversation. I'd like to thank our guests who are gone. That's it on the program. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Walker.